Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today's video is going to be a fun one. We're talking about comb honey. So let's kind of talk about what we've got here. Now I've done a couple videos on this before, but I don't believe I actually ever did a video on this part of the process. This is something I would recommend doing like in the wintertime or maybe whenever you can, because we're trying to put these on as soon as we can and we're just now doing it. But anyways, so what I've got here is some shallow frames. We use shallows and we got these from Skipper Luttrell. Now I actually have a short clip with him from the expo video. So if you want to check that video out, it actually kind of talks a little bit about what he's got at the expo, what all he sells, and then actually he did say his phone number in the video. So if you want to get a hold of him to get some frames, then just call him up. I promise he's got some really good stuff, and these are the frames. They're just really nicely assembled, and basically I'll show you what we're doing today, but there's this little slit that he makes right here, and that's what we use to start our comb. So I'll show you what that looks like here, but we use the shallows because it works best with our comb cutter. That's what we use to cut our comb, which is from Pierce, actually. I've done a few videos about them. They have just really good products that I would recommend checking it out. So if you follow the link in the description and use code Natalie, you can get 5% off. Now you do have to spell it right. A lot of people get that a little tricky, but it's just Natalee. It's also in the name of my YouTube channel. So if you want to figure out how to spell it, it's right there. But yeah, feel free to use that link and you can get some of those nice comb cutters. They've got some really good uncapping knives and just a bunch of other stuff in there that I've done videos on. So that's why we use the shallows, because it works perfectly for that. It gives us just enough room to have a little bit of extra space if maybe they haven't capped it or whatever, then the comb cutter won't quite get it. So it probably gets most of this. But anyways, so that's another video. I also have a video on that. But then right here I've got, this is actually from Dayton. They actually have, one of the things that I do like from them is this. It's just some wax foundation. They do a pretty good job about making this stuff, so this is the one thing that I like from them. No, I'm just kidding. Their smokers are good and whatever, but yeah, this stuff is good. And basically what we do is we get, I believe these are medium frames. So some people, they'll just put the whole frame in there, but what I do is I cut it with just a ruler right here. This is a huge one, but I just cut it the size of this right here. So whatever size that is, I'm just a girl. I don't really know a whole lot about that, but no, I'm totally kidding. So I just cut it like this, and then I can get about 4 of that size and then one more that's a little bit smaller. But I don't use much. Like, you can use the whole frame if you want to and put it in there, but they have to draw it out anyway, so it's not doing a whole lot of a difference. But this just kind of gets them started somewhere, and this is just normal wax, so this is something that we can eat, of course, and it'll be fine for that comb honey. So I do like this stuff, and we usually get a couple of these, slice them down, and then it goes a long ways. So once you get everything started and going, it goes really fast, actually. So then over here, we have an old crock pot that you want to make sure you use something that you're never going to want to use for food ever again, because it's basically going to be ruined after you put wax in it. But inside here, we just have some wax that we melted down. We used I believe it's from Thorn wax melter, and got all the like gross stuff out of it and all that stuff, and then we cut it up into small pieces after we took it out of the Thorn and put it into here, and then melted it, so it's ready to go. This is probably the longest part of the whole process. You have to start this earlier in the morning if you want to do it like in the afternoon, because it takes a little while to melt, but once it's melted, it'll stay like that. We just keep it on low for now. But then we have a spoon right here that we kind of bent it. It looks really dumb, but you got to make sure that you're using some stuff that you're never going to want to use for food again, of course. So you just bend the handle here, and then this piece right here. You don't have to do this, but it makes it a little bit easier. So we've got 2 of those right here. They also build up on wax, but they're easy to take off. You can also just dip it in here, because this is pretty hot, and just kind of swirl it around, and it'll melt it off there. So it feels like there's actually still some wax down in there, but for the most part this is melted. And then I also make sure to put a cardboard box down just because it does get a little messy with the wax. So let's get started though. I'm going to kind of show you what this looks like. This is just a shallow box also. You can put them in mediums for now, but eventually we would put them into a shallow. But if you don't have any shallows and you want to start using them, you can cut a medium box down to make it a shallow. We've done that a few times. It's probably another video also, just showing what that looks like. Okay, so then this part, it takes a little while to kind of get it down. Another question I'm sure I'll get asked is if you can reuse these frames. Now you can reuse them, and that is something that I would recommend doing in the wintertime, because there's usually a bunch of wax still built up on here after you've used it. Now if the wax is like cold and if you have it maybe in the freezer, it's really easy to tear off, so you can use your hive tool and you just have to go into this little seam right here and cut it all the way down. That way you can put this back on later in the year. But for us, it's just a little bit too much work and we don't have the time to do that. So we went ahead and bought brand new frames. Now we probably will still reuse them. We just have to take the time to actually put the effort in to take that wax off. But you can 100% reuse them if you put a little bit of time into it. Okay, so this is just a little piece that we cut here. And then there's this seam. And I'm just gonna slide the wax into that seam. It kind of takes a minute to get that down. But then, yeah, see, this one's I haven't done this yet today, so this is probably gonna be a little bit of a mess. Yep. But let me flip this over actually. So then I'll just kind of slide it in there. Doesn't help when I've bent it either, but so then once it's in there, it'll kind of stay in there a little bit, but then I hold it up here and then I tilt it up. That way, when I I'm gonna put wax right at the top of it, and then the wax will just slide down to the bottom and basically just seal it shut. So I'll show you what that looks like here. I'm taking my cute little bent spoon, and then I usually just do one full scoop of it, and then put it, this would be kind of hard to film, but put it right up here at the top, and then it just slides all the way down to here, and then it takes like 2 seconds to dry. So now it's gone down into that seam and it's sealed this. Now it's still gonna be a little bit delicate and you don't wanna really move it or kind of smush it because it is still wax. But then it's sealed shut. Now you can do both sides if you want to. I'm not doing both sides just because it does really well with just the one. And I mean, you can do both, but there's really no point in doing it because it seals just as good with one. And a little while ago, we were actually doing this, and I think we had it wasn't me, it was my dad. He dropped the whole super or something, and none of them had moved or fallen off. So just doing one side like that works really well. So let's do another one here. So if you just kind of get down a system, or if you have two people doing this, it goes really fast. And honestly, I find it kind of fun. Now, if you don't have a big enough spoon, or maybe it's not sealing the whole thing, you can do 2 scoops of wax, but I find that just one usually gets it. And hopefully I don't drop this everywhere. Oh, there we go. Then I try to, oops, yeah, so I just dropped a bunch on the table there, so that's why you want to have that cardboard down. But that's why it's important to keep it tilted up. And you also want to make sure that it's it's in the middle there, because if you seal it and it's bent over, then it's going to seal like that. You can kind of maneuver it around a little bit, but I would recommend just keeping it straight as you can. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely sealed really nicely right there. And then the bees will just start drawing this out. They'll draw it out all the way down to here, and it just kind of gets them a start somewhere. That way they're not just building off of nothing, kind of. Oh yeah, also I wanted to mention, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm just decked out today in Beekeeping with Natalie. It just ended up being that way, but I've got the Beekeeping with Natalie hat on today. This is one of my favorites. Now, I understand most of the people in beekeeping and watching this are going to be guys, and they're not going to want a bright pink hat, but I wanted a bright pink hat, so we got that. And maybe get it for your wife or something, I don't know. Anyway, so I've got this one, and then I've also got a gray, or it's kind of like tan. Same style. I've also got a gray and black one that just says BWN on it. So if you want to check that out, it's in the description also. I've got the shirt on too, just got a flag. I had this in a video a little while ago actually too. It just says Beekeeper on the back. But yeah, I had to mention that. Let me just see if I can do another one here and then we'll call that good for now. I don't know if it's me today or what, but I can't seem to get these to stay in there. There we go. Nope. Well, hold on. I'd say you can kind of like hold it at the top here and then just keep it straight and put it in, but that doesn't seem to be working too good for me. Oh, also I wanted to mention Gus Mitchell. He's not really on YouTube anymore, unfortunately, but he still has his YouTube channel up, and he's got some really good videos on comb honey. And this is, I believe it's actually the exact same method that he uses. All right, forget that piece of wax. I don't know what's wrong with that one. But anyways, he's got some good videos on it too. That's where we learned pretty much all of the wax that we do. Doing cut comb, that's pretty much where we got the idea from, so I would recommend checking out his channel on that also. Okay, let's just do one more here. So I use the back of my thumb to hold it in place, and then just grab some of that wax. Oh, that's my bad. So then it just slides all the way down. Now if it doesn't slide all the way down, you can do another scoop. Just put that like in the middle and it'll go down. You can wait for it to dry too, but usually by the time I've put this back, it's already dried to where I can flip it over and it's not going to fall out. So that's pretty much it. So we're going to do that for the rest of these. And then once they're done, we put 10 frames in here also, by the way, because we don't want them getting crazy thick or else they won't stay in our little container well because they'll be too thick. So we put 10 frames in here and just leave it that way. One thing you want to know, it does take them a while to draw it and fill it just because it's a lot of work. But if you can't get the bees to do it, then it seems to sell really good this time of the year or the last few years, so it'd be something to try out. It can be a little bit of money, but you can also charge them a good amount because of how much work it is, and a lot of people will pay a good amount. So anyways, just might be something to look into if you are doing cut comb. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching today's video. Follow along for more bee adventures and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.